But these standards are accepted, and they are minimum standards of reasonable care. The question you got to ask yourself, we'll talk about the standards that are just great. You'll take them away. You'll help your clients, or you'll help yourself. You got to find out when the standard was adopted, how it was, or has it in fact been adopted? Has it been subject to revision? You get some of these business guys that get on there, or lots of expert witnesses, by the way. If you need an expert witness on any of these standards that are in here, you go right to the standards committee, and you probably have a list of 10 to 15 experts that you could pull out of there, which I think is a great resource. So you also need to find out if the standard's been discussed in the committee. And these standards, let me just tell you, and I wrote down some of the more interesting ones. They apply to everything in premises liability from, in sports, all sorts of safety specifications, helmets, all sorts of things that you can find in there. The one I just briefly want to talk about, since it's our pet peeve, I can't stand it, trampoline safety. There's actually a standard on safety for trampolines, which used to be construed against the manufacturer. Now, the manufacturers have really got on there, poisoned the committee, and put all of the onus and burden on the residential owner. That's probably why you've seen if you've done a tramp case, most of them are now excluded under most homeowners' policies because they are just incredibly dangerous. But the rules are great. The owner that purchases it basically has to become a gymnast themselves. They have to be so qualified that they can train other people on gymnastics, okay? Yeah, for $180, you're going to become an expert, right? Before anybody uses that trampoline, you've got to read the instructions. How many kids, 4-year-olds, read instructions? How many adults, for that matter, read instructions? But anyway, you've got to read the instructions. You've got to supervise. You've got to train. You've got to make sure that you can do everything as a homeowner. And if you have a trampoline, get rid of it. And if you can't supervise, you can't train, you can't educate, then you know what you got to do, homeowner? You've got to dismantle that trampoline when you leave at night, or you have to lock it at a 25 to, I think, 30-degree angle onto a tree sideways. Okay? So anyway, ASTM standards apply to all sorts of things, soccer goals. But the interesting thing is I think Leidendorf had something on the listserv recently about playground standards. And I'm just talking about the ASTM standards. There may be multiple standards that apply to any one particular incident. So, like, for example, injury that occurs on a playground, there's a standard for 6 months to 23 months, for up to 12 years. And these are like pinch points, moving parts, toys, lead in certain types of paints that are used. Poured in place is simply nothing more than a permanent structure. The impact attenuation, really fascinating stuff. Basically, it's a discussion of brain injury, head injury criterion, and what tolerances children should be put through.